Hello and welcome back to In Pursuit of. I'm continuing my conversation with Pranjal Modi, founder Titli, and he is in pursuit of providing a responsive, loving, and empathetic caregiver to every child. How many offices do you have? How many people do you have working for you? How does it work?
We have some 25, 30 people as of now. But the thing is that we are a very small part of the ecosystem. It's all driven by the district magistrates, ZP CEOs, the district deputy development commissioners, who are all IS officers. And then they have the district social welfare officer or the deputy CEO ICDS. So these are the people who are responsible for the Anganwadi ecosystem at the district level, and then you have child development protection officers who are responsible for every block.
Right.
And then you have the lady supervisors who are supervising, say, anywhere between 25 to 50 Anganwadis, 60 Anganwadis. Now, the thing is that how you kind of help all of this government machinery to facilitate their Anganwadis in a much more empathetic way, in a much more responsible way. And I'll not blame, the district, because most of the times the district's job is so complex and the Anganwadis have so much more responsibility. So therefore, to genuinely help these people understand that the moment education is sorted out in the Anganwadi ecosystem, attendance increases, then all the other services that you need to deliver are also much more easy to deliver because people are coming to your center to get those services.
Correct. Absolutely.
And the only way, Aparna, to get children to any place is to love them and to provide them with something that they can play with and they can enjoy.
It's true.
You give things for free, it works for adults.
Yeah.
You give things for free, it doesn't work for children. You make the best buildings out there. You give them very, very expensive televisions and teaching aids, everything. But if there is no love and warmth in the Anganwadi worker, and if there is nothing stimulating for the child to go there and play with, the child will also not go. So what we are also able to do with this is that a lot of government indicators, which were initially, not being recorded because children were not able to come to the Anganwadi, all of them are changing. So what is happening is, because now initially 10 children came, now 30 children are coming. So initially only 10 children used to eat food. Now 30 children are eating food.
Amazing.
Yes, and the entire health parameters of the children are also being taken care of much better because the recipients are coming to the center.
Wow.
So it has a significant ripple effect. And the moment you're able to ensure pre-primary is settled, you will have much stronger primary and secondary.
It's very, very true. If the base is not set, how are they going to do better? So I know there's a lot of focus on primary education in India. And I remember from our conversation earlier is that you said that there's nothing in pre-primary, and I'm surprised and I can't understand why exactly.
Just recently, Aadhar Sheela, comprehensive Anganwadi curriculum has come up, which is a phenomenal work by the Ministry of Women and Child Development and NIPSID. And also the new education policy, Aparna, that came in 2020 was a milestone in the early childhood ecosystem as well. The issues were that Ministry of Education looks at primary and secondary education and higher education.
Till now.
Yes, till now. And continues to do so, yes. And Ministry of Women and Child Development is completely responsible for children up to 6 years. So education, nutrition, health, everything. Now, due to their complete focus on nutrition, health, safety, security of women and children, they have not been able to give as much
due attention
to education. I think in the last few years, government is realizing that if the pre-primary is not done well, there is much more
effort they have to put in at primary and
stress actually in their primary, because when the child doesn't know, just for example, the child doesn't know counting or the child doesn't know number value, and then the child comes in class 1. The class 1 teacher will never be able to really help the child.
Then you're again going back right to the basic and then restarting.
And they don't have time for that.
Right, absolutely.
So that's the reason an effective early childhood is very, very critical for effective primary and secondary, and to improve the overall education health of the country. And I think that's exactly what the new education policy did.
Even markers of any special needs, etc., all happen in the pre-primary stage.
Yes.
So how would one spot those, or any learning issues, etc., actually get spotted?
Yes, and exactly for that, the government created NEP. Then they created the National Curriculum Framework for foundational stage. They created the Nipun Bharat, guidelines, and now the Adharshila. So I think government is putting a lot of energy and effort in the
Pre-primary
ecosystem over the last couple of years, and I think it's a matter of time now that we start seeing the outcomes of these efforts in the next couple of years or possibly a decade.
That will really tilt the way our education
Yes,
progresses.
I believe
So Pranjal, tell me, what are the real challenges that you have as an organization?
We operate from tenders or service contracts, since we are a for-profit working in capacity building.
Right.
And the core issue that we face is very few funders or grant-making organizations want to work with us. One, because we are a for-profit, and two, because we are working in capacity building. So there is no tangible thing that they can see today. There is no furniture, there is no building, that we are able to showcase. It's all a very kind of, slow, painstaking, long-term effort. Yeah, abstract, long-term effort, which will show in the improvement of the learning outcome of children over a couple of years. By then possibly the officers will get transferred, or the lifetime of the fund will get extinguished.
Right.
So that's one thing. And also, since it's the impact space, so we also have limited interest from equity investors.
Sure.
So I think a combination of these makes the entire fundraising aspect
very complex and very difficult.
Very complex and challenging.
Tell me, there are like DIBs, for example, which will give you like a 4-year period or a 5-year period to, work through your program to find results, because they understand that, it's going to take time. Have you considered those?
Thank you, because we were just, talking to a couple of people over the last 2-3 weeks on DIBs. And so the issues that we're facing there is, it can also be a limited understanding that we have on DIBs. Even after, a couple of years, they want to fund an impact like, there is an increase in livelihood, there's an increase in the income of the beneficiary, or, say the school enrollments have increased, or something again very, very tangible. When you say increase in enrollment, now in Anganwadi, the thing is you already have enrollment. You have 35 children, 40 children enrolled, but they don't come. 5 children, 7 children come. But when you go and see in the register shows that 25 children were there or 30 children were there. So when there is complete mismatch of data, only when you go to an Anganwadi unannounced, you will see 5 children there. And then you will see that, okay, 5 children have come. Attendance is for 25 children and the enrollment is for 35 children.
Gosh.
And if after 2 years you tell a DIB, agency that your attendance improved to 25, so they will say initially also it was 25.
Oh gosh.
Okay. So I think the challenge is that the current state of data is
not helpful.
Yes, is not helpful, and the data is incorrect. And second, I think even we need to figure out ways of measuring, say, other sets of data like learning outcomes, like the improvement in child's ability to understand, and how they can possibly make it easier for the child to learn in primary schooling.
Right.
We did a detailed assessment in Kodarma, and that is showing us a very clear improvement in learning outcomes. That's showing us a study of how the Anganwadis which were trained and the Anganwadis which were not trained.
Oh wow! So you can see the comparison.
Yes, we are able to see the comparison across quite a few parameters, across attendance, across listening, speaking, reading, writing.
So that does not work for a DIB?
So we are just trying to see. So as I said, we spoke to a couple of people, and they said that you will need something much more concrete, possibly attested by a third party to kind of, really understand that these data points are appropriate. Because even when you say learning outcomes, it comes down to what are the kind of questions you asked, how did you assess those learning outcomes, what was the environment in which the child was when the learning outcomes were assessed, who was recording that data.
It's as abstract as saying that, is the kid happy, and how do you rate happy?
Right.
Happy can also drive better eating, it can drive better sleep, but how do you measure that?
Indeed, indeed.
Right? I think that's where the real challenge is. That is something I think funders now need to look at, as there are abstracts and there's only that much measurement you can do in some of those.
So I'll tell you, Aparna, one thing, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है, I really feel that it's on funders, but it's also a lot on organizations like us. Because, Aparna, I think you're right in saying that the funders need to understand this, but I think it's also on organizations like us, where we will have to work harder. We will have to be responsive to the funders' requirements as well. Because see, the moment we say कि भाई ये funder का responsibility है, the fact is that, I come from a finance background, so I understand it slightly, that you are also responsible for someone who's giving you funds, right? They're not paying their own money. Which is possibly what happens in a lot of traditional philanthropy, that you give your own money. But here there are institutions who are giving money. So the funders also need to be fairly sure, so that they are not questioned or they are not kind of, put
to task.
Yeah, to task. And given that it is so difficult to measure, the chances of inappropriate or incorrect measurement significantly increases. So I think it's a part of ecosystem creation, that not only you do work that is appropriate, but also you measure it in a way that everyone who is alien to the ecosystem is able to very, very clearly understand what you're doing.
Absolutely. So, I think this is a really difficult this thing where you need certain standardization, as one of my guests had said at some point in one of our previous episodes. When it's a matter of children, when it's a matter of learning, sometimes standardization also fails you, right? Every kid is different, right? But then again, if you look at rubrics generally, even for counselors, they have is somebody reaching a certain developmental milestone? So I guess those can be created in some ways. I think it's a mutual meeting that needs to happen, right?
And I think government is also recognizing that, and so is the corporate India. And I really feel that even the CSRs are being now open to capacity building and non-tangible improvements, because we are working with a few, and they have continued to support us year on year, where they were not at all looking at capacity building. They were only looking at infra projects, but somewhere, someone possibly, in his late 60s, realized that, okay, this is something that we should give a chance.
Worldwide, there are books and books written on how to raise children, especially in their pre-primary years, in their absolutely early years. And, parents like myself consume them and try really hard to be conscious parents. And I think that if every child receives that kind of attention, I'm not talking about helicopter parenting, loving attention, it would really change so many things going forward. So hats off to you for recognizing this and for starting this. But we'll continue our conversation. So keep watching while I continue talking to Pranjal Modi only on In Pursuit Of.